Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the Wrestle Plug podcast. I am, of course, your host, Aeron, the most unpopular host in all of British podcasting, but I persevere with the content for all of you wonderful folks. So, Smackdown has gone down. What an interesting episode of Smackdown. I was going to start by saying what a car crash of an episode it was, but that would be highly unfortunate phrasing considering what we got as an opener. Jeff Hardy arrested on suspicion with intent to maim, whatever you might call it, Elias, who frankly has been a bit useless as of late, but he seems to be making random cameos. He made a random cameo obviously at Money in the Bank. He's been in this terrible rivalry with Baron Corbin that nobody gives a shit about. Well, anyone with a brain doesn't give a shit about, let's be honest. Now, people are outraged about this. Obviously there's a lot of stuff going on with George Floyd. People are outraged. They feel that with the current situation and tension going on in America, of course, particularly involving obviously racial hatred and racial crimes, that this was in poor taste. I wasn't personally offended by the segment from a political standpoint or from a current, topical standpoint. For me, I thought it was just frankly dog shit. It's so lazy. Oh, Jeff Hardy, he's had problems with drugs and DUIs. Oh, cool, let's use that. Now, obviously, they would have got, well, you would hope, Jeff Hardy's consent to run this angle, and I'm sure he's fine doing it, but it's just, it was pointless, and frankly, it didn't really help to serve what would happen later on. The only reason I can see this being a thing is because they need to give the hacker more material. I understand that, but I just thought it was cheap and lazy and boring. I didn't think it was that impactful. I just thought it was ridiculous. And it's a fucking awful use. I'm seeing WWE apologists out here saying, oh, Matt Hardy is, he's a joke on AEW. Look at that Stadium Stampede. It's funny, isn't it? When he was doing that final deletion with Bray Wyatt and stuff, people were all for it. But of course, when he's doing it somewhere else, they get pissy. That's just the way it is, unfortunately, when you have butthurt children to watch wrestling in that way. Sorry to say, but that's just bullshit smarks acting like twats. I just think it's cheap. I think it's trashy. And frankly, I don't think it makes for good TV. Maybe that's something to do with my age, being 35, not really giving a shit about that kind of soap opera drama. I get why they're trying to do it. I didn't find it offensive in the current climate. What makes me laugh is there's a lot of people saying, then if you had a problem with this, then don't be a fucking hypocrite. You should have had a problem with Matt Hardy dunking his head because Rebby Hardy basically tweeted out that she thought this was trash. Now, we didn't personally notice it at the time. I don't also think it's a reach either, though, to say that maybe Matt Hardy being drowned just days after what had happened with Shad Gaspard was possibly in poor taste. I'd like to know what you guys think if you're listening to this. Leave a comment below. I'm sure there was no malice or no intent there, and to be honest, I didn't see it until the retrospect. It had been pointed out to me, and I thought, oh yeah, that's a fair point, actually. Maybe that's indicative of issues with myself and others that, we had not really thought about it in that way, or maybe obviously we were just thinking about Shad in the right light and, trying to take some happiness from what was done. But at the same time, to be honest, I understand both camps. If you didn't find it offensive, that's fine, but I also can understand how some people may have found it insensitive. Same with this situation. I hate to sit on the fence. I don't like sitting on the fence. For me personally, I wasn't offended, but I just thought it was trash. If anything, I was offended by how crap the storytelling was. But to be fair, other than that, there wasn't really much that really pissed me off about SmackDown. Now, I didn't realise that WWE had started using their trainees and their wrestlers as an audience, with screens as well. And I actually kind of like it. Real ice hockey vibe about it. Am I the only one getting the NHL vibe off of it? The screens with the fans banging on it and stuff. I think it works. I really like it. It makes the show better. There's some atmosphere, there's some people getting involved. I gotta say, really, really enjoyed it. Fair play, WWE. We're always giving each other stick and we're always critiquing and criticising things and having opinions, but I like it, like the setup. I quite enjoyed the little banter at the beginning as well, involving all this nonsense with the locker room, talking about who should get Jeff Hardy's place in the IC title tournament. It just seems like a really cheap way to write him out so that you don't have to have face versus face, Daniel Bryan versus Jeff Hardy. I liked AJ Styles as well, calling him an idiot. Thought that was very funny when he was like, are you an idiot? Just fucking take a clean road through to the final. Oh, wait, no, you're a good guy. And then we have this battle royal full of jobbers. However, Jey Uso, man, Oh, I am so thrilled for him to get a chance to shine because, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know that Smarks love to correct me, but I'm pretty sure Jim Uso is out long term with a serious injury, which means Jay is obviously, it's difficult for him because the Usos are, for my money, one of the best tag teams of the modern era. I really believe that. And Jay was fantastic in this Battle Royal, and I genuinely thought he was going to get one over on Sheamus, and we were going to get this kind of underdog story. Sheamus eventually eliminates him, but coming down to those last two, I thought it was really good, and they told really good stories in this Battle Royal. The Battle Royal itself, I don't really care for Battle Royals until you get down to 2 or 3, because it's just a big old punch-kicky brawl fest, and not really my cup of tea. But they told some good stories, obviously, with Shorty G getting involved and eliminating people. You know, the way that he eliminated Cesaro and Cesaro got back in and eliminated him. One of the biggest banes of my existence as a wrestling fan. He was eliminated by a guy who wasn't eliminated. And the referee's like, oh, well, he went over top rope, so we'll just assume he was eliminated by someone legally. It's like, well, what? It's very weird, wrestling, because there's been so many times where a referee would come down and go, whoa, he did this. Oh, okay, restart the match. But, unless it's someone like Shorty G, in which case nobody really gives a shit, to be fair. But he seems to be embroiled in a rivalry with Cesaro and Shinsegae Nakamura. And yeah, can't say I'm going to care that much. Probably be a great wrestling match, but let's be honest, who really gives a shite? I don't. And they wrestled each other later, to be fair. So Sheamus is moving on to face Daniel Bryan later in the night to decide who will face AJ Styles in the final of the IC title tournament. Pretty obvious which match we wanted, and we got the match we wanted, if we're being fair. But I personally must be one of the few people who wanted Sheamus to win that match. But hey, that's another story for another day, I guess. Really enjoyed the tag team stuff for Alexa Bliss, and I've got to say, Nikki Cross, one of the stars of this show for me. Hysterical. Just her utter nonsense, being ridiculous and dancing around, and the stuff that her and Bayley were pulling off as well. I loved everyone involved in this segment, except for the New Day. Now, I like the New Day. Huge fan of Big E in particular. I just felt like, what was the point of bringing them out? Because they didn't do anything. It was like, oh, look, Tag Team Summit. We're both Tag Team Champions. How cool is that? Oh, you guys just piss off while the women, bitch and fight. All right, fair enough. What's the point of bringing them out then? Just for entertainment value? That's fine. But at the same time, would it be nice to have a little bit more? Maybe the Forgotten Sons, who they name dropped as being, serious contenders for their titles, because there isn't a number one contender, so to speak, yet. Maybe it would have been quite cool to have them come down as well. Get involved, cause a fracas, they brawl to the back, and then Sasha and Bayley are like, well, seeing as it's just us now, that could have been something cool. Just that little bit extra, just to make use of the guys who are available and make use of the guys who are out there as well, instead of them just going, oh, got him, and acting like a bunch of fucking jocks, which is not my cup of tea. Sasha Banks, obviously, taking on Alexa Bliss. Great match again. Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss have this amazing history, and I love how every single fucking stan and, over the top ridiculous mark on Twitter is like, oh my god, they fucking hate each other, that's why you don't know fuck all. Seriously. Is there heat there? I don't fucking know. And to be honest, I don't care. It's none of my bloody business, man. I'm watching this because I enjoy it and it's an entertainment format, and these two had a great match. Really loved it. By the way, Sasha Banks, on point, and the fact that her and Big E were wearing black armbands to honour Nakamura and Shad Gaspard, I thought was a really lovely touch. I think they deserve a lot of love for that. I think that's a really, really cool move, and something that I in particular was very moved by. I thought that was really nice because it's a very small gesture, but it means a lot, and you'd like to see more of it in wrestling. It's lovely to see a bit of that camaraderie and people coming together to celebrate and also mourn the loss of two incredible individuals like Shad Gaspard and Nakamura. Like I say, good match. Also, on the other flip side of things, on the women's division, really, really, really enjoyed Lacey Evans versus Sonya Deville. Love how Lacey Evans is getting loads of views, because I think she's wickedly underrated, and I know all the butthurt fans are going to be like, oh, well, she's stiff and all that. Shut the fuck up. It's wrestling, mate. If you don't want wrestling to be vicious or violent or aggressive or stiff in any way, you stop watching wrestling. Simple as that, really. Yeah, liked it. Thought Lacey Evans was used really well, and I think Sonya Deville is really starting to rise up those ranks rapidly as a good star. Really liked the little segment beforehand as well. There was a lot of good off-camera stuff, or should I say out-of-ring stuff. Nikki Cross and Bayley at the announce table during the aforementioned women's match was fantastic, and then in this match as well, you know, having Lacey Evans just kind of standing behind Sonya while she's cutting a promo to the camera going, what a nasty, and then just shoving her over like a twat. I thought it was quite good. I enjoyed it. Really appreciated it. Great to see the women really stamping their identity on this product because they've got so much to offer, and I thought all the women involved in the show did a magnificent job. Love the Bayley Sasha Banks nonsense. I'm actually starting to get on board with Bayley as a heel as well. I know everyone shits on her, but I found her entertaining. I thought she was funny. I liked her promo stuff. It worked for me. Thought it was great. Really thought it was good. I thought Shorty G and Cesaro had a decent match. The problem is I don't care about either. I know it sounds obnoxious, but I don't. I really don't. I just... Shorty G, what the fuck is that? Yeah, just make him Chad Gable again. Great Olympic wrestler with a bit of a comedic side. He could have been the next Kurt Angle, but instead, you know, he's just this joke. And Cesaro and Shinsegae Nakamura, with the best will in the world, are wonderful wrestlers, but their gimmicks are trash. They don't have the greatest mic work in the world. It really frustrates me as well, because I keep seeing people banging on, Cesaro deserves more, Cesaro deserves more. Be honest with yourself. Hot take here. Unpopular opinion as well. When was the last time Cesaro or Shinsuke Nakamura were legitimately entertaining outside of being good wrestlers? Because if your argument is, oh, well, they're such good wrestlers, well, you know, so is Drew Gulak. Why isn't Drew Gulak world champion then, if that's the case? You know, if you want wrestlers to be so great, you know... Why did I have to keep bringing guys like... I mean, Brock Lesnar is the wrestler. He's not really much of a... You know, he's just a genetic monster. Like, surely he should be top of your list. I don't really understand this premise of, oh, but they were indie darlings. Yeah, but let's be honest, right? Why do we love Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens? Because they're really good at their characters. They're really good at, you know, Seth Rollins being an obnoxious dickhead. Kevin Owens, one of the best talkers in the business. You know, I can't remember the last time someone said to me, I love Kevin Owens because technically he's a world-class wrestler. Because he is... But that's not what people remember him for. This isn't about just being a great technical wrestler. Even Daniel Bryan, who is a wonderful wrestler, he's very entertaining, good mic work. You've got to have more than just, look at me, I'm good technically. And that is why I think Matt Riddle, he's not in trouble. I think this is the best show to go to. And I mentioned this on our State of Wrestling address, which will be dropping around the same time as you're probably listening to this. If you're listening to this on a Saturday, we're also dropping our State of Wrestling address, which is our weekly podcast. It's an audio podcast. That'll also be available on YouTube as well. I mentioned on there about Matt Riddle going to Smackdown. I think this is the best show he could go to if he's going to be pushed to the main roster. I think it's the motion, to be honest. I'd rather be on NXT than Smackdown, but it is what it is. He's going to need a little bit more than other than, oh, I'm just a bro. Oh, I say bro a lot. You know, that's great. And it kind of is okay because he's such a world-class wrestler and a world-class MMA-style fighter. And he really crosses his brand well. And I've complimented him a lot on his physicality. I just don't think the gimmick's that great. I think it's a bit trashy and a bit cheesy and a very frat boy. Might work for an American audience, so what do I know? But for me, it doesn't work. So I'd be curious to see what they do, but they announced the fact they'll be moving to SmackDown using Kurt Angle, who was, of course, the referee for his match with Timothy Thatcher, which I highly recommend people check out, because they kick 7 bells of shit out of each other, and who doesn't love a couple of whopping great, meaty, MMA-esque hosses twatting each other around in a cage? Good stuff, lads. Good stuff. One thing I must talk about just briefly, because I thought it was phenomenal, I thought it was probably the highlight of the show, was the Mandy Rose and Otis segment. They were talking about how, they had a romantic rendezvous, a getaway from SmackDown for the week, and I was really curious as to what they were going to do. It was just fucking funny. They took the piss. It's a famous film, and I cannot remember where it's from. It's been parodied in a lot of different things. It's got that music playing and like that. But it was just so good. It was so funny. Like, they're sitting there and he's like, some peach champagne for my peach. Just thought it was... I love Otis. He's so funny. For me, Otis is the highlight of WWE right now. I just think he's a star. I think he's so funny, so hilarious. His romantic kind of... entanglement with Mandy Rose, it really has been gold. I know a lot of people hate on it. I think it's fucking amazing, and people are really enjoying it. And what makes Otis so wonderful is he's so relatable. You know, we can all sort of be a little bit like Otis. You know, you see some of these guys and they're so beautiful and shiny and shredded, and you think, no, I'm obviously not going to look like that unless I quite literally eat nothing but a can of tuna once a week. But at the same time, you know, you look at someone like Otis and you think, you know, it's just something relatable about him. I think it's cool. I think it's funny. I think it's entertaining. And these two were really macking on as well. Go on, Otis. Get yourself some, lad. Very impressed. I just thought it was really funny. And it added a real comic relief in what has been, you know, it was actually quite a serious SmackDown. There's a real serious overtone about everything that was going on. So to have Nikki Cross and Bayley, for instance, fucking around at the announce desk, but also to have this, it helped break up that serious nature and that serious tone, and also kind of diffuse a lot of the anger and outrage that, of course, was flying around social media, where people were offended by, you know, the earlier segments. So I loved it. Thought it was absolutely phenomenal. Mandy Rose's face, like, damn, just fucking brilliant. Really good fun. Loved these two. They had such an amazing amount of relatability and also hilarity, comic relief, you know, to the show. And I thought it was wonderful. Fair play to both of them. I think they've been magnificent in this entire run. I really do. So yeah, you know, I thought it was overall a good SmackDown, and of course it finished off with Sheamus versus Daniel Bryan. What a callback that is. Got me thinking about WrestleMania and the Yes movement kicking off and him losing in 26 seconds and all that stuff. And do you know what? For all the horse shit that's said about Sheamus, I'm actually really enjoying this run. I've got to be honest, I'd like to see him and Jeff Hardy get away from each other soon, because I think it's fucking boring. If I'm being genuinely honest, I think it's trash. I really do. I like Sheamus's mic work. Love the way he's like, junkie scum and all that. I think it's quite funny. But overall, and yes, I know I'm shit at Irish accents. I wasn't really trying, if I'm being honest. I was just, you know, being aggressive. I just think that, yeah, it's not a good combination. But again, Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, I thought it was a great match. Hard hitting, physical, plenty of technical work in there. I'm really enjoying Sheamus's gimmick of just abusing Michael Cole on a regular basis. Probably because I think Michael Cole's a bit trash, and he's not a very good commentator for my money. So, you know, seeing him get rinsed all the time, it's quite amusing to me. And the fact that Corey Graves, not Cody, people wish. I can hear the meltdown from here. You say you've got AEW on the brain. Shut up. Corey Graves seems to enjoy it just as much. I think it's really good fun. Poor Michael Cole being dragged in. As much as I'm not a huge fan of him as a commentator, I will concede that he's a good sport, and he takes a lot of this in good jest, like Nikki, sort of, don't you touch Michael. I thought that was really funny. You don't touch Michael, leave him alone. I thought it was really funny. Worked for me. And again, same with this. Love Sheamus constantly giving him stick, forcing him, do it louder, shout yes louder. I thought it was really funny. Really worked for me. Very entertaining. And of course, Daniel Bryan winning means we get the dream matchup. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. So what more could you ask for? And they obviously see Jeff Hardy's out of jail. Can I just point out as well, Renee Young's kind of just swanning around during the beginning. The fucking acting for that opening segment was garbage, and I think that's one of the main reasons why I hated it. It was just fucking garbage acting, and Renee Young swanning around, she goes, Jeff Hardy's being taken in for questioning. That's not how you take someone in for questioning. Dragging them into the back of a police car. You know, what fucking garbage, mate. Also, kind of don't really care that it was Elias, you know? Make it somebody who's a little bit more, I don't know, lovable and cared for in the wrestling community than Elias. Like, come on, man. Nobody sat there and thought, oh man, poor Elias. Nah, we're all sitting there thinking, oh, that was a bit trash, or some people were offended. But other than that, I thought this is actually a really good SmackDown, one of the best SmackDowns I've seen, and probably because it didn't have a lot of the garbage on it that you would expect, really. The SmackDown has really struggled, if I'm being honest, for the last few weeks. But the last couple of weeks itself have actually been quite good. I've actually thought that Raw has had the better of SmackDown for quite a long time now. Tempted to say SmackDown was probably better this week, if I'm genuinely being honest. But hey, what do you guys think? Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. That's it for me. Hopefully you've enjoyed this cheeky little SmackDown review. We try and throw them together. Hopefully you're enjoying the animations. Just want to say a huge shout out to Coast to Coast Designs. They are responsible for the magnificent stage animation. We add all the other graphics. like our own sort of Titantron and our own graphics and things, but they're responsible for the template of that, and I feel that they deserve a lot of love for that. So please check them out on YouTube. Really, really cool. That guy works really hard, makes some wonderful designs, and I think it's only fair that he gets a lot of love and appreciation for that. So check out Coast to Coast Designs on YouTube, and if we can provide a link, we'll obviously do so. But from myself, Aeron, thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, hit the bell icon for more notifications on all of our content as it arrives right to your favoured YouTube device. We will catch you very soon for more nonsense from the Wrestle Plug.